From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Well, hey everyone, I want to let you know that there is a great way that you can watch from your big screen TV. Several ways, actually. If you have a smart TV, most likely that smart TV, as long as it's connected to the internet, you can watch YouTube on it. Well, you can watch the 24-hour streaming channel on that YouTube channel. Just go to Weather NorCal YouTube channel and you're good to go. The cool thing about the YouTube channel app, though, is that you can also just watch on demand the latest video update and the weather forecast as well. All right. You can also watch the 24-hour streaming channel whenever you want from your Fire TV or your Roku. Just go to that app store, search for Weather NorCal, download the app for free, and you're watching the 24-hour streaming channel. So you've got all the great content in the main channel itself, but you also have the live conditions with the updated 7-day forecast for 10 different locations and current conditions for 10 different locations as well. So be sure to check that out. I think you'll really enjoy it. Take a look at this. We do have a warming trend. It has begun. We've noticed it today. We'll be noticing it over the next few days as well. Unfortunately, as we see the temperatures increase, the winds pick up just a little bit. I'm not expecting a major wind event, but the winds will be picking up just a little bit over the next few days. And with the low humidity, I think we're going to be looking at fire danger increasing slightly here over the next few days. We'll take a closer look at that here in a second. Now, the mountains may see a chance for a few sprinkles or light showers, but for the most part, I'm keeping it dry in the forecast. And the heat wave we're talking about looks like it'll peak sometime around this weekend. There's your neighborhood forecast at a glance, and yes, the triple digits, upper 90s, most likely in the valley for tomorrow. 80s, even some 90s for the higher elevations. The coast actually seeing some, probably maybe even some cooler temperatures. I'm expecting to see a bit more of that marine layer tomorrow. That may make for a bit more fog. But if you're heading out to the Shasta District Fair for your Thursday, for Senior Day, temperature of 100 degrees for that daytime high. It's getting even warmer as we get to the end of the week and into the weekend with temperatures over, in fact, well over 100 degrees. So, plenty to drink, right? But you just want to avoid caffeine. You want to avoid alcoholic beverages. Water is their best bet to help stay hydrated during these hot summer days. All right, take a look at the smoke forecast. I do anticipate that from the site fire down to the south, that we will see some smoke possibly. The winds are going to be shifting a little bit more from the south, and unfortunately what that's going to do is push some of that smoke northward. Now, I don't anticipate it to be really bad as far as dense smoke, and we're going to smell a bunch of smoke or anything of that nature, but I do expect to most likely at least see, at the very least, some haze out there. And at points in time, you may even smell a little bit of smoke, especially in these areas that get into bright yellows and just barely kind of into those oranges here. That's when you do begin to smell a little bit of that smoke. That's 11 o'clock tonight. I'm going to take you to tomorrow morning. We actually may see some clearing, less away in the haze for the valley, but there may be some haze for some of those higher elevations. You can see it's not very dense, it's not very thick, but just a bit of that haze, and most of the smoke is down to the south and west. Now, as we go through the day on Thursday, we'll probably start to see some of that haze making its way back into the valley, but you'll notice tomorrow the smoke may not be as bad. So areas like Hayfork and Weaverville, a little bit more dense in that haze, but overall through the day tomorrow, just some of that light haze, most likely not smelling that smoke, and most likely not having much of an impact on that air quality. So the winds, as I mentioned, you see how they're picking up a little bit, and they're generally coming from the south, but off towards the north and west, they're coming in from the north, not to mention those north winds here for the coast. Now, as we go into Friday, again, Friday morning, the winds die down, but by Friday afternoon, you see how, again, we're looking at 10, 15, even 20 mile an hour gusts. That's strong enough to elevate that fire danger just a little bit. Now, speaking of that fire danger, the humidity is something we're looking at. Dry conditions for the valley, not to mention very dry in many of the higher elevations as well. Not only Thursday, but most likely even going into your Friday as well. So the heat, the winds picking up a little bit, and the very dry conditions for tomorrow, you do have that high to even very high range here as we go into some of these areas that you're seeing the orange. A little bit more spotty there, but by the time you get into Friday, there you can see better chances of seeing some of that high to very high fire risk because of the combination of the heat, the low humidity, and those winds. But when we look at the heat, right, here's what's going on. We're still seeing these storm systems riding toward north, and that's the key factor here. But the thing is, we still have warmer air that's in place. Both this heat and this heat here is kind of beginning to expand a bit more to our region. This is when we're going to start to see our temperatures increase over the next few days. By the time we get into the weekend, this is actually backing off here, but the heat is beginning to expand again back over the desert southwest. This is going to build and get stronger as we approach and get through the weekend. The thing is, the main bubble of heat, yes, it's going to be still over the desert southwest. It expands into our region. We see temperatures over 100 degrees in the valley once again, but we've got these storm systems. Look at this one right here. This one's going to dive down to the south and east, but you see how this is building, it's expanding, it's getting hotter, it's getting stronger, but this is keeping a lot of that heat from expanding into our region. So I actually do expect to see temperatures drop slightly as we go into the early part and middle part of next week. But you can see as we look at our trend here, it's not going to be much of a cooling trend, right? We're getting up to 106 on Friday, Saturday, 102 Sunday, and we'll just kind of level out around the upper 90s to a little over 100 degrees for many of us in the valley as we go into Monday through Wednesday. So again, that main bubble of heat over the desert southwest, it's impacting us, and that's why we're seeing these hotter temperatures, but we still have those colder storm systems riding to our north, keeping our temperatures at bay. All right, and it's the same trend for the mountains, and I'm just showing you Susanville, but if you go to Mount Shasta or El Terce, you'll see it go up, and then you'll see it kind of level off again, going into early to the middle part of next week. But we're not seeing that same trend for the coast, right? There you can see temperatures a little bit warmer than normal, but the normal high is about 62. We'll essentially be in the low 60s for the most part, going over the next 7 days or so. So here's a look at futurecast. And a couple things I want to point out. Number one, there's the fog along the coast. So tomorrow morning, I think we're going to see some pretty dense fog making its way into the inland valleys, still north of Garberville, but places like Ferndale, Fortuna, yeah, I think you'll see some of that fog, not to mention Blue Lake as well. But Crescent City, Eureka, seeing that fog. Elsewhere, we're starting off with clear skies tomorrow morning. No big surprises there. A couple of high clouds making their way into the northern portions of the area, but we are seeing some afternoon clouds developing in the higher elevations. Maybe a sprinkle or two, but overall dry. That fog fairly persistent through the day on Thursday, so we'll call it mostly cloudy. Some areas may see some peaks of sunshine along the coast tomorrow, but I think that fog may be a bit on the persistent side. That sticks around into Friday morning. Some dense fog. You see it's making its way back into some of those inland valleys, Blue Lake, for example, Ferndale, Fortuna, right? Even Crescent City. And then Friday afternoon, look what happens. We still have the low clouds along the coast here Friday afternoon, but we're seeing less of that marine layer. So I do expect to eventually see some clearing, possibly as early as Friday afternoon into Saturday for the coast, but just those afternoon cumulus clouds for the mountains, and of course plenty of sunshine and hot for the valley. Let's take a look at those wave heights for your Thursday. Generally staying about the same. We're not going to see much change there. That'll be the case going in Friday. You can see it gets a little bit higher, maybe a bit of a concern here as we get toward the end of the week. Certainly something worth watching, but as of right now, we don't have any small craft advisories, no advisories altogether, but we do have those winds coming in from the northwest at 5 to 10 knots, waves from the northwest at 4 feet at 6 seconds, and from the west at 2 feet at about 10 seconds. All right, so let's take a look at tonight. Still, despite the fact that it's getting warmer, we've still got those cooler overnight lows. I think we'll be right around 60, give or take, for the valley. For the mountains, looks like we're breaking away from the 30s and getting back into the 40s in many locations. So we take a look at your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Some of us could touch 100 degrees in Trinity County, but otherwise mainly in the mid to upper 90s, even some 80s in there. For the North Coast, you're looking at temperatures in the 60s, but there you can see just the next 7 days, low to mid 60s for those daytime highs. No big surprises there, but Alder Point about 89, 88 for Orleans, 90 in Hoopa, Willow Creek about 93. There you can see the inland kind of peaking on Saturday and then dipping down to the upper 80s by Sunday into early next week. For Siskiyou County, temperatures upper 80s, low 90s, although some of those higher elevations probably somewhere in the low 80s for your daytime highs. There's the spike on Saturday, temperatures dipping slightly in the upper 80s, low 90s from Monday through Wednesday of next week. How about Modoc County? How about mid-80s, give or take, for the next for tomorrow? Temperatures increasing to the mid-90s by Saturday, dropping down to around 90 by next Sunday, Monday. And your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, 80s and 90s, just depending on your elevation. 88 for Paradise, 91 for Shingletown, much cooler. In Viola at about 82, and Susanville, a high of about 89 degrees. How about your Valley neighborhood forecast, brought to you by NorCal Tractor? Well, looking at temperatures mid to upper 90s. I think most of us in the Valley will dodge 100 degrees tomorrow. But as you head north out towards Redding, yeah, maybe about 100. That's also the case maybe for Anderson, Bella Vista, Palisadro. 95 Whiskeytown, Lake at about 97, but Red Bluff about 98 degrees. So looking at your 7-day outlook again, first day of summer, which is the summer solstice tomorrow, a high of 100 degrees, give or take. Then on Friday, Saturday, that's the peak. Highs well over 100. And then we'll kind of level out around 100 degrees, give or take, for Sunday, all the way through the middle of next week.
Let nothing stand between you and the tree stand with this great offer on the fast, durable Kubota Sidekick. Featuring a gas-powered engine that delivers a top speed of 40 miles per hour, outstanding acceleration and handling with cargo, and a 2-year, 1,000-hour warranty. Get the Sidekick now for 0 down, 0% APR for 36 months or save $1,000.
Tractors, trailers, rentals.
You do it all, we do it local.